Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of New Westminster's online Sunday celebration service. Please join in for our opening song this morning, Swing Wide the Doors.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Here we go now. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I learned to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. About lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. All right now, swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
Welcome back. I am Reverend Rhona Segarra, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to our Sunday celebration service at Unity of New Westminster in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Whether you are watching us live on Zoom or on Facebook or on YouTube, or whether you are finding us on demand after the service, it is my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of all of us here. We would love to stay connected with you. So please subscribe to our newsletter on our website, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, or join our Facebook group. And that way you will be notified anytime we have a service. We are so glad that you are part of our experience today. The Unity Movement offers ideas for full and abundant living. We draw on the teachings of Jesus, who we consider our primary way shower and example. And we honor that there is wisdom in faith traditions all over the world. We respect every person's right to choose their own spiritual path, their own life path. All are welcome here. All are worthy here. All are celebrated here. We open our service today in prayer. I gratefully acknowledge that I speak to you on the traditional and unceded territory of the Semiahmoo First Nation. And we give thanks to First Nation peoples everywhere for their custody of this beautiful land. We give thanks for our connection one with each other. That connection that happens whether we are in each other's physical presence or not. That connection that binds us all together. We acknowledge that there is only one presence, that there is only one power, that power that is understood by many names, many faces, and many paths. And we affirm that regardless of the name, the face, or the path of our understanding, that we are one human family. And it is in that knowledge of our oneness that we send a blessing for love, for peace, for contentment to every being on this planet, to every being, regardless of all the labels that threaten to divide us. We are one. And for this knowledge, for this intention, and for the power that we have to bless, we give thanks. Amen.
I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be gentle with myself. I will be gentle with myself. And I will hold myself like a newborn baby child. I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with I will be tender with my heart. I will be tender with my heart. And I will hold my heart like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. I will be easy on myself. I will be easy on myself. And I love myself like a newborn baby child. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me feels safe to go. Now I know I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. I am gentle with myself. I am gentle with myself. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I rock myself like a newborn baby child. And I hold myself like a newborn baby child. And I love myself like a newborn baby child.
Have you noticed that there is a lot of anxiety around us at the moment? The fires, the floods, the pandemic restrictions, fuel rationing, all of these things that are going on in our world on the outer have added to uncertainty and stress. And during times of stress, we don't always function well. We may find that we are impatient, that we are irritable, that we are judgmental, that we are inflexible and self-centered, that it's all about us. On the roads, maybe it's just my imagination, but I don't think so. It seems that people are tailgating more frequently and following too closely. Someone reached out this week to me and asked that I speak about the fact that there is so much impatience and anxiety and irritation in the field, that people are upset and not managing well. And when we are tired, and right now we are so tired of all of these different things that are facing us, we have a tendency to respond even more poorly. And what happens is we are all connected. And so when I'm upset, I'm tired, and I feel the anxiety around me, and I spill it out onto somebody else in my behavior or in my words, then they become the unwitting recipient of my anxiety. And then they take that, potentially, receive it, are on the receiving end of it, and then they can feel that anxiety. And so it becomes kind of like this infectious energy that can spread to more and more people. It's like that old Fabergé Organics shampoo commercial. Remember that? Where I liked this shampoo and I liked it so much, I told 2 friends, and then they told 2 friends, and so on and so on and so on. Well, the same thing applies when there is anxiety in the field, when there's irritability in the field, when we are expressing our upset and our stress to others. They get it, and then they express it, and so on, until we're all wandering around in a state of mass exhaustion. But the same thing is true the other way. We are all connected. And so, as much as it is true that when we are impatient and irritable and hard and closed and inflexible, and we spread that to everyone, it can essentially raise that anxiety level. Well, the same thing is true the other way. And the more that we can be calm and kind and safe, as Dr. Bonnie says, then the more we can actually impact the people and the culture around us with that experience as well. And so our goal is to be the presence of calm in the midst of this anxiety, so that we help to not only stay calm within ourselves, but we actually assist the entire culture, our entire energy field. And one way that we can do this is by being more gentle, by living gentleness, both for ourselves and for others. Gentleness is a way to move ourselves out of anxiety, a way to improve our relationships, and a way to calm more in our field. It adds to our peace. Gentleness is one of the 9 virtues that Paul speaks of in his letter to the Galatians, what he considers the fruits of the Spirit. They are love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Gentleness is one of the more powerful and least spoken about fruits of the Spirit. And yet, gentleness has amazing power to calm a situation, to spread love, to spread joy, to spread peace. If you go to the dictionary, you see that gentleness is a personal quality which includes kindness, consideration, and amiability. Gentleness is having a considerate and kindly disposition. For me, I include approachability in that definition. So I see gentleness as having a considerate and kindly disposition and a welcoming disposition as well. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus honors the meek and gentle people in what we now know as the Beatitudes, the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, blessed are the meek, blessed are the merciful, blessed are the pure in heart, blessed are the peacemakers. All of these, mercy, meekness, humility, purity, and peacemaking, have elements of gentleness in them. And Jesus is our perfect example of gentleness. When I was a child, we used to sing this hymn. It went like this: gentle Jesus, meek and mild, look upon a little child. Pity my simplicity, suffer me to come to thee. Gentle Jesus, meek and mild, look upon this little child. Pity my simplicity, suffer me to come to thee. And when we apply this song metaphysically, that is, we apply this song as aspects of ourselves, we think of Jesus then as being the Jesus within us, the perfect example of how we want to live. And the little child is the part of us which is learning. And so the words can actually have some deep meaning for us, because basically what we're asking of ourselves is that we, being gentle, welcome the child part of us that is still learning, that we are kind, compassionate, gentle, approachable to the parts of ourselves which are still learning, still in development. And we want to extend that same gentleness, that same meekness, that same tenderness and consideration to the people and the world around us. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, says, my favorite quote by Charles Fillmore, that our mission is to express all that we can imagine God to be. Our mission is to express all that we can imagine God to be. And Reverend Dr. Gary Simmons, in his book, The Eye of the Storm, says, we want to be the way of God, not in the way of God. We want to be the way of God, not in the way of God. And I would add that we want to be the way of patience, not in the way of patience. That we want to be peace, not in the way of peace. That we want to be the way of gentleness, not in the way of gentleness. And if we think of gentleness as approachability, as having a place where there is a kind disposition, where we create a place of safety and comfort, of acceptance and welcome, then we can see that gentleness is an effective strategy, if nothing else. It is an effective way of being for creating compassionate connection. It creates an environment of emotional safety. And emotional safety depresses all of the anxiety that we may feel. And so it helps to improve functioning. It helps us to think. It helps us to learn. It encourages creativity. In short, gentleness reduces anxiety. Now, some of us may have grown up believing that gentleness was somehow a weakness. There is a historical bias about gentleness as being a feminine trait, that women are gentle and men are tough, and that somehow the women's approach is the lesser choice, that to be gentle is weak. I remind you, though, that the words of the song aren't gentle Jesus weak and mild, they are gentle Jesus meek and mild. The song implies humility, an acknowledgement that we aren't the only ones in the room, that we aren't the only ones who know it all, and that we aren't the only ones that matter. Meekness implies an understanding and acknowledgement that no one person is above or below someone else. We all come with different strengths and different abilities, and we are all equal. And because gentleness can sometimes be challenging to reach for, I would argue that gentleness is actually something that requires more strength than harshness or defensiveness. We all know how hard it is to remain open and approachable and accepting and welcoming when we are challenged or when something isn't going the way we want it to. Gentleness requires us to be intentionally open and kind in the midst of friction, which is not always an easy task. This is true whether we are on the receiving end of an interaction or whether we are the person who is seeking change and wanting to initiate an interaction. According to an essay by Jane Garrett, Aristotle, the philosopher Aristotle, used gentleness in a technical sense. He saw gentleness as a virtue that struck the correct balance with regard to anger, that being too quick to anger is a vice, which most of us might agree with, but also that there are times when anger is appropriate. And so to focus our anger or our desire for change in a proper way is part of the definition that Aristotle gave to gentleness. Certainly we see in Jesus's example that he was gentle and yet he was firm. Gentleness does not mean being a doormat. Gentleness is indeed strength. And our invitation is to be the way of gentleness. How do we do that? Well, the first thing we want to look at is assessing our interactions. So think of a conversation that you might have had, or in the middle of a conversation. I had this happen this week. I was in the middle of a conversation that was unpleasant for me to hear. And during that conversation, I mentally had to stop myself from being defensive and choose deliberately to be more approachable. How do I do that? How do we do that? We want to choose a more inviting tone. We want to have more open body language. We want to think of and notice the tone of our thoughts. Are they warlike? Are they defensive? Were they warlike? If you are reflecting on something after the fact, were they defensive? Were we relaxed? Were we engaged? Were we being the way of gentleness? Or were we being in the way of gentleness? The other thing we want to do after we've assessed ourselves and our behavior is to assume that we don't know the whole story. It's true. We will never understand the context of somebody else's viewpoint 100% because it's their viewpoint. And so we will never understand their story, their sensitivities, the things that happened to them before our interaction that might actually be helping to inform their reaction. We can remind ourselves of times when people have judged us harshly, and we've thought to ourselves, oh my gosh, if only you knew what I was going through, maybe you wouldn't be so hard on me. And so assume that we don't know the entire story, because we don't. And then we adjust. We assess how we've behaved. We assume we don't know the whole story. And then we adjust with some new ideas. And here are some. The first is to speak more gently when expressing a concern. In Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1, we are told, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And what we know is that harsh beginnings lead to harsh endings. Dr. John Gottman's work on couples in relationship have proven this clinically. But it doesn't just apply to couples. The same principle is true for all of our relationships. We all know that if a conversation begins harshly, it is hard to recover and to move forward to a place which is productive. And so instead, we want to make a connection with a person first, expressing empathy first, rather than blast away with our laundry list of complaints. When we begin a discussion gently, it makes all the difference in how our request will be heard. And so the guiding principle might be connect before correct. Connect before correct. Take the time to connect first. Take the time for empathy first. It may sound like, I value our relationship and I have a request to make. I can tell that you're really excited about this project, and I'm going to ask you to hear a concern that I have about it. It could be, I can tell you're upset. I want to hear what's on your mind. What are you comfortable sharing with me at the moment? I care about our relationship. Speak gently. Whether you are on the receiving end and of somebody's wrath, or whether we are the person who is delivering a request. As part of that, we want to teach gently. Remember, I said connect before correcting? Well, gentleness doesn't condemn, it encourages. And so it is important to make it safe to be imperfect, to make it safe to not understand. In the play Othello, Shakespeare writes, and I quote, "Those that do teach young babies do it with gentle means and easy tasks." Those that do teach young babes do it with gentle means and easy tasks. Gentle means, easy tasks. This makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because we all know how harshness can prevent us from learning, can prevent us from hearing. Anyone who has ever had difficulty learning something knows how an angry parent or teacher or supervisor or friend or sibling can shut us down and prevent the learning from happening. It's as if our brain just cannot focus enough to even hear. And so when we create a culture where it's safe to be imperfect, where it's safe to not understand, where it's safe to put up our hands and say, this is too complicated for me right now, then we remove the anxiety that prevents us from hearing. And when we remove the anxiety, we allow the listening to come in and potentially the learning to begin. Another aspect of gentleness is to allow mistakes. We've likely had the experience ourselves or witnessed when someone else has made a mistake. Perhaps if I were to use that fender bender, following too closely example that I had at the beginning today, perhaps they followed too closely and now they are in a fender bender, or perhaps it's something even more serious. Whatever it is, there has been a mistake made. And just when they most need comfort and reassurance, sometimes our tendency has been to yell, to insult, to shame, to guilt. Not only does it add to the misery, it can have a long-term effect on a person's self-worth. It can have a long-term effect on the relationship because trust becomes eroded. And the person is very unlikely to admit to make another mistake. If they make another mistake, they're much more likely to hide it, to lie, to not disclose what happens. And now all of a sudden, the relationship is compromised. Adding to someone's misery is neither gentle nor kind nor productive. And so instead of yelling at someone after they've made a mistake, gentleness, excuse me, gentleness recognizes that we are not our mistakes, that there is a difference between who a person is and what a person does, and that we have all made mistakes. In John chapter 8, we hear the story of Jesus being at the temple and sitting down and teaching the people around him. And the scribes and the Pharisees bring Jesus a woman who has been caught in adultery, and they make her stand in front of this entire crowd. And they say to Jesus, and I quote in verse 4 of John chapter 8, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. What do you say?" according to the next verse, the reason they did this was to test Jesus so that they could find some way to have some kind of charge to bring against him. But Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And they kept questioning him. And finally, he straightened up and he said to them, "Let anyone among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." And once again, he bent down and wrote on the ground. And when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the elders, and Jesus eventually was left alone with the woman standing in front of him. And Jesus said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" And she says, "No, sir. No one, sir." And Jesus says, "Neither do I condemn you. Go your way. And from now on, do not sin again." Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her. We have all made mistakes. And instead of expecting perfection and then condemning someone when they fall short of the idea of perfection, instead of condemning ourselves, because when we fall short of our idea of perfection, let us do as Jesus did. Remind ourselves that we have all made mistakes. And these powerful words, "Neither do I condemn you." It's like pick yourself up, dust yourself off, start all over again. Gentleness encourages rather than berates. Instead of, "I told you so," gentleness affirms and encourages. There's no problem so big that it cannot be solved. I have faith in you. Yes, you made a mistake, but you aren't a mistake. I've made mistakes too. Gentleness doesn't condemn, it encourages. Gentleness reduces anxiety. And finally, be approachable, be pleasant. Gentleness is approachability, amiability, pleasantness. Sometimes we are irritable, short-tempered, we can be impatient. My mom calls it, "Oh, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed today." Of course, if we are finding ourselves unpleasant, unapproachable, and impatient, it is a good idea to check if there's a reason for it physically. Perhaps we are tired or we are hungry, and so the correct thing to do is to have a nap or add some nutrition to our bodies. In general, though, we want to ask ourselves this question: are we pleasant to be around? We cannot be described as gentle if we are grumpy and miserable. Intend to be pleasant. Intend to be gentle. Ask yourself, how can I be more open, more welcoming? How can I expand my patience? Instead of indifference when someone walks into a room, could I choose to be more welcoming? Could I be more present with them? Could I let them know that they matter? In general, can I be more warm and inviting rather than closed? When we are gentle, we are the way of good, not in the way of good. When we are gentle, our request or our opinion is more likely to be heard. When we are gentle, our relationships will be more honest and more respectful, more collaborative, more productive, more trusting. When we are gentle, we tell people that they matter too, that we are not better than anyone else. Gentleness is so much more effective than harshness. Speak gently. Remember, harsh beginnings lead to harsh endings. Teach gently, connecting before correcting. Respond gently. Remember that gentleness does not condemn, it encourages. And act gently. Be pleasant to be around. When we are gentle, we add calm. We reduce anxiety. Be the way of gentleness. It will make a difference in your world, in our world, in the lives of all around us. Blessed are the gentle. I bless you.
I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do.
I cannot do
No puedo hacer
all the good
todo lo bueno
that the world
que el mundo
needs.
necesita.
But the world
Todo el mundo
needs
necesita
all the good
todo lo bueno
that I can do.
que puedo hacer.
I cannot do
Je ne peux pas faire
all the good
tout le bien
that the world
dont le monde
needs.
a besoin.
But the world
Tout le monde a besoin
needs all the good
de tout le bien
that I can do.
que je peux lui faire. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. 我ไม่能滿足世界，但我能盡力奉獻。
I cannot do
لأقدر أعمله
all the good
كل شيء
that the world
العالم محتاج لكن العالم
needs all the good
محتاج كل شيء أعمله
I cannot do
אני לא עושה
all the good
את כל הטוב
that the world
שהעולם
needs.
צריך
But the world
אבל העולם
needs all the good
צריך הטוב
that I can do.
שאני עושה. te sekai o suku unante de kina I soredi mo kito te kai o suku kitori ni nereru.
I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good I can do.
Good morning, friends. On behalf of the board of Unity of New Westminster Spiritual Community and our staff and volunteers, I wanted to welcome you to attend our community conversation on November 28th. We've had several of these and we've really enjoyed them. They've been in person and on Zoom. Both have been great. Both have been very special and nice times to have an opportunity to kind of connect with people and talk about what's going on for you and what you would like to see us doing at the church. As we hopefully get closer and closer to reopening, then we need to figure out some ways to do that. I just realized I have a goofy t-shirt on. Oh well. So come on down around 12:15 on Zoom right after the church service on November 28th. So after the church service, people will go onto Zoom. They may or may not have snacks that they bring themselves because it's not time for potlucks yet. And then we'll chat a bit and then go into small rooms with good questions and come out with possible answers. So we're really looking forward to some feedback about how things are going for you and what's happening and what you might like to see us doing in the future as we get closer to reopening. So thanks for your attention and I hope to see you November 28th, about 12:15, community conversations. Come on down, bring your friends, bring anybody you want to bring. Okay, bye-bye.
You are invited to join us on Mondays at 11 o'clock for our weekly prayer service. It is a time where we get together on Zoom and we connect with each other. We share how we are doing with each other. We move into a time of guided prayer. And we read the names of the people who are on our prayer list. And it is a time of renewal, of connection. It is a profound experience of recentering. And so I invite you to join us for that. And if you would like your name or you know someone who you would like to have added to that prayer list, then please email us at unityofnewwestminster@gmail.com and we'll be sure to have the person's name or your name added to our list. Mondays at 11. I know it's hard to believe, but Christmas is just around the corner, and that means it is time for our annual Purdy's chocolate fundraiser. Every year we have an opportunity to purchase chocolates from Purdy's, and then the church receives a percentage of the sales. If you are interested in ordering this year, please go to our website to find the link, or call or email the number on your screen. The deadline to order and pay is November 29th. Thank you to Cindy Noble for heading up this initiative this year, as she does every year. Cindy, we are so grateful for you. You are a blessing to our community. There are many ways to give to our ministry at Unity of New Westminster, and we are grateful for the financial support which we receive from regular as well as one-time donors. Your generosity helps us to support our ministry and continue to share inspiring ideas for full and abundant living. We also support organizations that serve people in our neighborhood, in our province, and in our nation. Donations can be made through Interac electronic transfer, credit card, check, or cash. Please give from your sense of appreciation and your feeling of abundance. And thank you for supporting Unity of New Westminster. I invite you now to hold whatever you feel blessed for in your hands, in your heart. Financial, family, roof over your head, food on the table, just whatever you are feeling blessed with as we sing our blessing song.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And we come to the end of another service. I thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed your experience with us today. I wish you all a very, very blessed week. Goodbye, everybody.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow to take I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. I am the light of God. I am the love of God. I am the power of God. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. You are the light of God. You are the love of God. You are the power of God. You are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. We are the light of God. We are the love of God. We are the power of God. We are the presence of God.